We've mentioned how sickening and disappointing it has been to witness men who claim to not only be Christians, but even to be apologists and teachers for the Christian faith, only to then deny the Word of God on this question of Noah's flood. And it's simply a fact that no honest person could claim to have read Genesis chapters 6 through 9 and then claim to believe that it's not presenting a plain, basic account of a global flood that was the judgment of God on the entire planet and wicked mankind. As soon as a teacher says that, I just turn them off. They aren't worth listening to. The Bible clearly teaches that God flooded the entire globe. How did he do it? Well, there's been a lot of discussion, and many want to debate whether it's even possible. I've heard credible, scientifically sound explanations for how it happened. Others cry and claim that there's no credible scientific explanation for a global flood. But again, I believe there is, but even if there weren't such an explanation, I would still believe in the global flood because of one simple fact. God isn't bound by science. God is the creator of all things and is not subject to the laws of science that he is the creator of. So if you're an atheist, and you'll just have to get over the fact that we're not. We believe in God and his power and authority over all created things. Science is no obstacle to the supernatural powers of God. If you're a Christian who refuses to believe in the flood because you think it's not scientifically possible, and you refuse to believe that the omnipotent God could do something that is scientifically unexplainable, then shame on you. You think like an atheist, and you'd better check your profession of faith. After all, if God wrote a book and claims to have flooded the entire globe, but didn't, then how do you know anything else he said's true? That he's going to save you? If you can't believe in a God who does what he says he did, or is even capable of doing what he says he will do, then how can you believe the gospel itself? I'll leave that discussion right there for another time and proceed with the fact that God did flood the entire planet with water above the highest peaks all over the earth, as Genesis 7:19 and 20 says, "And the waters prevailed exceedingly upon the earth, and all the high hills that were under the whole heaven were covered. 15 cubits upward did the waters prevail, and the mountains were covered." End quote. And if that happened, what should we see then when we look at the planet? Well, Ken Ham of Answers in Genesis is famous for saying this, quote, "If there really was a worldwide flood, what would you expect to see? Billions of dead things buried in rock layers laid down by water all over the earth." And that's exactly what we find, end quote. And anyone who lays aside their unbelief and simply looks at the evidence sees exactly that. With a small number of exceptions, fossils are laid down in aquatic sedimentation, which refers to mud and landslides and such, all over the world. No matter where you are standing near or right on top of fossils that were laid down by water. Billions and billions of dead things fossilized and found buried in rock layers on every continent and at every stage of sea level. Just from such a broad bird's eye view of the evidence, any reasonable person would admit that what we see exactly is what we should see and should expect to see in light of Genesis 7:23 and 24, which says, "And every living substance was destroyed, which was upon the face of the ground, both man and cattle and the creeping things and the fowl of the heaven, and they were destroyed from the earth. And Noah only remained alive, and they that were with him in the ark, and the waters prevailed upon the earth 150 days. The evidence for a global flood is evidence for the Bible and the God of the Bible, and you will find that is the reason for such resistance to the evidence and the motive behind the denials of the biblical flood account by unbelievers. And professing Christians denying Noah's flood simply do so because they can't stand the ridicule.